gamers, it is I, the People's Machine, coming at you with another exciting episode of the Gaming Roundtable, brought to you as always by Unpaid Gamers. That's right, Unpaid Gamers on YouTube.com and sometimes Twitch. I'm thinking about Nintendo. But anyway, as you see, Evolve is playing in the background because I have a little bit topic for you all. And it is March 17th, 2022. And please pull up a seat to the Gaming Roundtable. And here we go. And today is Ubisoft and the Eldenring BS that's been going on. Now, I first kind of caught wind of this on YouTube thanks to Yang Yao and a couple other people that kind of commented on this. But I want to address this issue with Ubisoft and actually in some part EA, but mainly Ubisoft people were involved with this. And everyone knows that From Software are the creators of Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 respectively, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and they have made some other games over the course of the last several years that actually helped start the genre called Souls-like. And there's a lot of carbon copies and clones that borrow elements from the Dark Souls games. It has a huge influence on games, including games like Remnant from the Ashes by developer Gunfire Games, formerly of Vigil Games. And that's one example. We had Toad Interactive with their Immortal Unchained, another gun with guns like Remnant, but a little different, but with Souls-like. And of course, Deck 13, who made Lords of the Fallen in the Surge series, and so on and so forth. Well, a couple of weeks back, From Software released their newest Souls-like or Souls basically born style type of game called Eldenring. This time foregoing a labyrinth-like environment to an actual open world environment, which right off of the beginning you're allowed to go north, south, east, west, whatever direction you want to go. And again, they leave it up to you, the player, to understand, you know, there are probably some areas you just don't want to go to and you're going to get slaughtered because it is, after all, a From Software style of gaming, a game. And the other thing is, they don't put any like check marks, and they don't put any like million map markers and all the stuff that a lot we have seen in the formulaic design of Ubisoft games. Now, I want to preface this by saying that From Software, I do own Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I don't want to talk about 2. That's a whole other can of worms because a different director made it and really kind of quote unquote kind of screwed the pooch on that one. But I do own all 3 games. I do own Bloodborne. I do own Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. And it was Dark Souls 1 that got me hooked into the Souls-like genre. I also would like to preface Ubisoft because I own a lot of their games too. I own Division 1 and 2. I also own Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands and Breakpoint, which I really enjoyed Breakpoint and Wildlands. I own a lot of the games that they publish and or create as well, including Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Assassin's Creed Unity, Assassin's Creed, gosh, I've got a bunch now to think about it, like 4 or 5 here and there. Syndicate and is another one. I think I just mentioned that, but very good. And I just seem to gravitate a lot. I've said it before in previous videos. Ubisoft has really clever and interesting game worlds and unique settings for their game environment, not including one of my favorite franchises, which is Far Cry. I currently own on the PS4 Far Cry 3, 4, 5 all expansions, 4 all expansions. I own New Dawn. I own 6. I own Blood Dragon. So needless to say, I'm very well versed in From Software style of games, and this being their first real open world game with Elden Ring, which I do not own and have not yet played but have watched the videos on, and of course Ubisoft and their open worlds. Now, I want to preface this by saying that recently on Reddit and subreddit and different things, whenever this came out, Ubisoft seemed to be knocking Elden Ring and putting them down for their success of this game, and kind of knocking its UI UX kind of like thing where it's like, oh well, there's no real quest design, there's no real this, there's no real that. But it really boils down to Ubisoft, you know, for the longest time, outside of maybe Rockstar, but Ubisoft had been doing the open world formula for a long time. And they have slowly but surely turned into a game where with the large maps and a million icons, and go here and go there, and if you want to, there's no, outside of actually turning on Odyssey's exploration mode, and I do not know if that's a feature in Valhalla, I do not know if that's a feature in Origins, because this seems to come about in the newer games in the last couple of years, but they have had this formulaic way of making their open world games. Even Far Cry 6, which I have owned, played through, enjoying it for the most part, even though it does have some issues that I would love to address in another video, talking about 6, and it's a beautiful game and everything, but it does have the same thing. These are icons. Oh, look at this question mark here, look at this there. Oh, not to mention Far Cry Primal, owned that too. But it's these games that have like all these little icons and things, and you pretty much know where to go. I'm not saying that exploration isn't an option, but when everything is highlighted for you and everything is there for you, even to the point where some other games are now just saying, I need to go here, maybe I should check this out, it kind of stops being this game world that you can explore, because you're just mainly more or less following the compass and following this and following that. Eldenring's open world gameplay, as I kind of expected, doesn't do that. It is an open world game with none of that stuff in it, and it's left up to you to truly explore that game world. I'm going to pick a direction, see where it goes, and if it's a little too haphazard for me to get to, maybe I should back off. And people are loving this design, and but apparently Ubisoft and EA in some respects have been dissing or knocking From Software's success with Elden Ring, because this is From Software's really first open world, and they knocked it out of the park. And it's strange to me to hear another developer basically take a big dump on another developer. It's you know, because they're jealous of the success that a game company's open world is over their own. Now, it's one thing to have console wars, and I want to say this wholeheartedly about the people with the console wars. Xbox better and PlayStation's better. That was actually something not created by Xbox, Microsoft, or Sony. That was a lot of the players doing that, and that goes all the way back to the days of the 8-bit NES and Genesis and the whole 9 yards. That was really perpetuated by the players, not so much the companies. Because funny thing is, when Microsoft and their acquisition of Activision and Blizzard, they called Sony. So they had them on the dial. Hey, we're going to work with you. We're going to make sure that the next COD still come out. So it's not like they're not friends. They obviously have communication with each other, and Nintendo's lumped into that as well. So it's not like, but we don't really need game wars, you know, which is what Young Yao was talking about. We don't need developers fighting with each other over whose game world is better than the other. No offense to Ubisoft. As much as I enjoyed Far Cry 6, which is one of their latest games, it did still have the same formulaic approach. Even there wasn't too many new things added from 5 or New Dawn to where 6 didn't feel so much new. It more or less had new features, but it was more or less the same game that I have been playing more or less since 3 or 4. And there's nothing wrong with that. But see, Ubisoft has consistently, over the course of, I'd say, the last 15 years, especially with Assassin's Creed, especially with Far Cry, their two main flagship series, have played it very safe. There is a large percentage of players out there, and you know who you are, that buys every AC every year, kind of like the Madden players buy Madden every year. Not necessarily because AC is a bad game. It has nothing to do about being bad. It has to do with, oh, well, it's the latest AC. I better get it. I got the other ones. There's almost a, what I would say, like you just buy it because you buy it, because that's a game series that you fell in love with, but you've been playing it, and you always see a lot of the same players after they got by the newest ones kind of go on YouTube and talk about, it's good, but they've always played it safe because they know that market is going to give them money. From Software has never played it safe. If you go back to some of their early games, from the Otogai series on Xbox, which was a very high action style game, but it was very different because of the timers and the different things that were going on, and it was unique in the way it played versus every other action game. It wasn't a game that everyone could kind of get into, but if you did, it was a great game, right? I'd say their most accessible game is probably Tenchu Z. They had bought the Tenchu license, and we saw some of that bleed over into Sekiro, and Tenchu Z was very good on the original, on the Xbox 360. But it was probably their most accessible title, and it was a really fun game to play. But Kingsfield was a first-person early RPG that was kind of hardcore too, and some of the lore from Dark Souls is in that, and they kind of tie together, which is, if you go back and look, it's pretty neat. And of course with Demon Souls, which it's interesting because I didn't know this from, again, watching some of the people I've subscribed to, that Sony didn't want to have anything to do with Demon Souls. They thought it was going to be a big failure, a big flop, but yet they turned the action RPG upside down on its head in a 3D sense, and was like, oh, wait a minute, this is the complete antithesis of what we normally expect, and people just gravitated towards that. The difficulty of that game was very difficult but very fair. You died because you messed up. You shouldn't have attacked or try to get one more in and things like that, and it was all about letting you make that player choice. And that difficulty had a way of sucking you into the game world. Elden Ring's open world is more or less what we've come, with an incredible number of years of the Souls games, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and they have refined and refined and then refined it even more. And this is why the game is being so successful. I think Ubisoft are a complete, or some of the people who comment are complete assholes, 100% assholes, for knocking another game company who just happened to make an open world game, and they feel threatened by that, jealousy by that. Well, I'm sorry, if your executives, your VPs, or your shareholders, or the head-ups managers at your all's company would grow a set, or maybe the programmers who develop AC and Far Cry and or otherwise would just grow a set and say, hey, why can't we do something different? Why do we have to keep making the same basic game every other year? But you won't. You won't speak up. You won't do nothing. You are a bunch of feckless assholes who you want to knock another game company's success because you're jealous of their open world, because they did something that you all won't do, or your hands are tied and can't do, and broke that normal mode where they're not a million checkpoints, a million icons, a million question marks, look, go here, go here, go here, go here, and you never really have true exploration. It's sad. And even with the Adventure Wander, or whatever the hell it's called, exploration mode, even in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, even turning that on doesn't turn absolutely everything off. It just takes away some of the hand-holding. And I just feel, why can't we have a game that you can explore, and there you go. One of the things that I will talk about. I want to talk about real quick, which is kind of part of this open world philosophy. The idea, I feel like, and I have probably gone on this on another video at some point over the last couple of years I've been doing videos, I have talked at length about how I feel that game companies out there at some point just started looking at us, the gamers, as morons, as complete fucking idiots. Like, and we don't want you to miss out on the game world we developed, so we're going to put all these icons, we're going to put mini markers, we're going to put everything you could think of, so go here, go here, go here, so you look at our game, look what we did here, instead of allowing us to just explore the game on our own and making the determination whether we should stay in an area or not. And to have your worlds developed that way, so then there is no real exploration. You just know, well, in this little area here, there's 10 or 15 icons. I better go there, and like in Far Cry, oh, there's a tower. I better go take it. Instead of letting me just discover it on my own, right? And it's just not there. It's not there. And it's bullshit that company in particular, because they play it safe, because they want to play it safe and make their money. They need their money. It's bullshit. Like, because why don't you just turn it all off and let us make that determination? And they just don't. A long time ago, on the Xbox 360, there were some roleplay games that came out. Elder Scrolls Oblivion being one, which again gave you a basic map and different locations, but you found most of everything else. I really love Oblivion, but I also really fell in love with Two Worlds. And Two Worlds' large map design didn't have any of those icons or anything. You could go to areas in that game world, even though that you weren't going to survive. You were going to get hit once or twice, and you were done. And the game made that determination. Oh, maybe I should stay in this area, do some quests before I branch out. And that game, you could just pick a direction and go. And it was great for an RPG. You found towns, you found things to do. You would see in the distance some castle. Where does that go? Because you saw it. The map wasn't telling you it was there. And even though Two Worlds had pretty terrible voice acting, and graphically, it wasn't really up to snuff, and there was a lot of problems, I still really loved the game because of that feeling of freedom and exploration. The Ubisoft games and some of EA's stuff doesn't do that anymore. There is no sense of exploration or wonder. Interestingly enough, Ubisoft published Starlink, Battle for Atlas. Starlink, I have sang its praise. It was one of the, even though it was the Toys to Life thing, and so people didn't buy it, you never really needed the toys to play. It actually gave the option to play with the toy or play digitally. Playing digitally, you didn't have to buy any of the toys. You had this whole Atlas star system to explore. You can leave a planet, just like No Man's Sky, load seamlessly into another and fly to another world and go to it. It is an amazing space action exploration game that had no microtransactions and none of the BS that's normally found in an Ubisoft game, which is weird. It's a beautiful game with a Snowdrop engine, but they did the same thing with the planets that you explore. You just travel in a direction and discover shit. They didn't do it in that game, but they do it in all their other games. It's a really weird design choice. Even in the Division open world, it's the same thing. Open your map. Oh, there's a question mark here. I gotta go here, and it's again formulaic. Now, I've harped on this because to have some developers or a handful of people at a company to take a stab, to take a shit on and piss on them while they're down on another company's success because they don't understand why it was successful. They're jealous of its success because they have made an open world game that they're praising, but no one's praising your open world. No one praised Far Cry 6 open world. No one praised the last Assassin's Creed Valhalla's open world. They praised the game and different things, but if you look at the criticisms, no one said, wow, I loved exploring and traversing, the European or wherever the hell Valhalla takes place. I never saw one video about that. But when you go and open a map, Jesus Christ, there's just icons fucking everywhere. Again, too much hand-holding. Too much go here, go there. Do this, do that, do this. Your main character actually kind of self-narrating and saying, maybe I should go check out that cave. Well, yeah. And then there's a question mark. That's where you go. Or an icon picture of a cave. Why can't I just go and, and as me as a player, control my character, hey, I wonder what's in this cave. That is the problem and the crux of that, because I feel like these people who made these comments, you guys are pieces of shit. I wish you need to quit the industry. You need to be fired and lose your job tomorrow. You should all lose your jobs, because it is not right of you as someone who develops and designs the open worlds or part of whatever, and you knock its quest design, you knock its open world, you knock a completely different company's success because your games, people look at as formulaic and you're just playing it safe. And From Software didn't do that. It gets all this praise and you all are upset by that. So I'm going to leave. This is a short video tonight, but I'm going to leave you all with this. Ubisoft, and some of you, and a couple of comments that came from EA, you all can go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves. Why don't you stop playing it safe and grow a set and develop a game where you're not doing a million icons and this and that and blah 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 blah. Consider now you're trying to turn your fucking your Assassin's Creed, your fucking ass Creed, into a live service game. Oh, go fuck yourself. Really? Now you're just going to do what everybody else does, and you're going to have this big open world, and it's going to be a trillion icons. It's going to be the same old fucking Assassin's Creed that we all been playing for years. And that's a shame, because I like a lot of your games. I even love the first Watch Dogs. I own all three of them. Watch Dogs Legion was literally my favorite open world game, like, period. I liked it better than GTA. I still play it. But again, if you open the map, there's just icons everywhere. It's the same formulaic approach. I just liked Legion's interesting approach to playing as anybody. And your updates and the things you've added, you've made the game. It's a very good game. But still, why do some of you all have, just shit on another developer for no reason other than being jealous that you can't make a game world like that? Jealous because they had success and it was their first real open world game and you don't know why and you're pissed about it? Like I said, go fuck yourself. Ubisoft, the people who made those comments on Twitter or on Instagram or Reddit or whatever it was that I had seen, all of you all, I hope and pray that you lose your job, because you don't deserve it to be that petty to attack another company. And as I said, I don't own Elden Ring. I haven't played Elden Ring. I've only watched videos of Elden Ring. And I'm not here to just defend From Software. I'm also here to say, don't knock other developers. Just don't. That's the stupidest, fucking, dumbass thing I've ever heard of. Anyway, I digress. Ubisoft, I will still continue to buy your games. I'm definitely going to buy whenever the next Far Cry Beyond which is coming out, which I think is in space or some shit this time. I will continue to buy your games, just like I will continue to buy From Software's games. But I'm going to tell you this, so that you all both understand. From Software, I want to congratulate you on the success of Eldenring, and I wish you all continued success. Ubisoft, you can go fuck yourself for being assholes, for knocking another company because you're jealous of their open world and their success, and that you all have to always play it safe, and you can't figure out why it was successful. Yeah, you should know why. Why don't you take a good long look in the mirror and stop with your bullshit. Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Gaming Roundtable, brought to you by Unpaid Gamers. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the boxes down below. Hit that like button, subscribe to Unpaid Gamers. Check out Posthuman Guy, the administrator to the site. He is posting videos here and there. WWE 2K22. We have an announcement coming up. We will be we'll talk about that here in the next couple weeks, and some stuff that we're working on, which I think is going to be very exciting for the channel. I don't want to spoil the beans yet. Check out his gameplays. Check out, of course, that archived Apex Legends gameplay from Ban Loss, and of course, check out me, the Gaming Roundtable, the People's Machine. Please subscribe to my channel. My PSN tag is People's Machine, all one word, and you can follow me on there as well. And again, if you'd like to email me, you can hit me up as gamingroundtableupg@gmail.com. That's gamingroundtableupg@gmail.com. And we will see you on the next exciting episode of the Gaming Roundtable. And as always, gamers, good gaming.